Hi, my name is Cully Lichtenberg, and I would like to talk about two counseling theorists today, Albert Bandura and Carl Rogers. Albert Bandura was born in Canada in the 1920s, and he got his PhD in British Columbia, and then he moved to the United States, and he became a professor at Stanford University. In his early days at Stanford, he did a project called the Bobo Project, where he videotaped an adult being aggressive to a baby doll called Bobo. And he had young children watch this, and then after they watched this video, they themselves played with baby dolls and he observed their behavior. And what he saw was that these children were imitating the aggressive behavior that was shown in the video by the adult. And so this is where his social learning theory kind of took root. And he built his social learning theory on the behaviorist theories, Pavlov's classical conditioning and B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning theories of how our environment and the consequences of our behavior influence our behavior. So he did believe that, but he also believed, in addition to that, that we observe others in our environment and we imitate them. And so there's a cognitive process with that, and we internalize and observe our environment, and that we have a unique disposition with that. And that is our personality traits and how we are uniquely designed with our genes and how our genes interact with our environment. So he called this a social cognitive approach. And with this approach, he says that we gravitate towards environments that are more like us and what we desire. And with the people that we choose to imitate, it's usually people that we would like to have their behavior as the result of their behavior and achieve things that they have. So we start to imitate those things that we are innately drawn towards. And one of the things he said was that our past behavior was one of the strongest indicators of our future behavior. So he truly believed that genetics and environment work together in a powerful way. And some scriptures that made me think about this and kind of reinforce what his theory says is Psalm 139:14, when it says that we each are fearfully and wonderfully created, that we have a unique design and a unique purpose, and that God designed us with that purpose. So it's no surprise that we gravitate towards certain things in life more than others. For instance, if we are thrill seekers, we're going to be happy in that environment and thrive in that environment and seek it out, where if we were cautious and that was something we were not inclined to want to do, we would not thrive in that environment and we would not seek to be around it and we wouldn't imitate that behavior. So these are things that are unique to our God-given design and the importance that environment has on shaping our behavior within that design. So one thing that Bandura points out is that the people we imitate, he called models. And so we start to model their behavior. And there's several scriptures that really reinforce this too. One of them, Psalm 1:1, it says, "Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the ways of sinners, nor sits in the seats of scoffers," saying that who we choose to have around us will start to show in us. So we'll start to take on the behavior that we have modeled to us. And then in Proverbs 13:20, it says, "Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm." So within our cognitive process and our past experiences and our memories, we can start to process all this information and think about it and choose, actively be aware and choose who to model our behavior after knowing these biblical truths and what we have learned through science. I'll move on to Carl Rogers, who is known for being the first humanistic psychologist. And he was born right outside of Chicago. And he became a professor at the University of Wisconsin and then later at Columbia. And he built on Maslow's hierarchy of needs and self-actualization theory. And Carl Rogers thought that we were all born good and had a potential that we wanted to strive to reach. And he felt that if we were given certain things in childhood or in life, through our families that we were born into, or through marriage with our partners, that we could really thrive when we had certain needs met. And those needs are, if we can be genuine and be true to ourselves and just express ourselves and not let that be held as a fault to us, that would really help us blossom into our full potential. And then he also said that when others accepted us for who we are, that would help us thrive and grow into our potential. And then also having people who would validate your feelings and be empathetic surrounding you, that would help you to have a better self-worth and to start to form your identity. When all these needs are met, you form self-confidence. You're able to trust the decisions you make, and you start to build a healthier well-being and approach to life. And he even equated this by having these needs met as a tree getting sunlight, water, and nutrients to grow, that's how important it is to us as individuals. And so he took that approach as a therapist to provide that to his clients. He wanted to give them an empathetic ear. He wanted to validate what they had gone through and help them to come to a place where they accepted themselves and that they liked themselves and they knew themselves and they started to walk in that truth of who they were and to walk confidently in it. So that was the counseling approach that he took. And some of the things in Scripture that really support this, I wanted to pull up, because once we know our identity, it truly transforms our behavior. So in Jeremiah 1:5, it talks about how God knew us before we were born and how we were created for a purpose. And then in 1 Peter 2:9, it says, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, God's special possessions." And then in John 1:12, "All who have received him are children of God." So when you hear these things, it gives you a very special identity. And so you have this all through the Bible, even from the very beginning book to the very end, our identity through God and why God created us. And that has to be significant and such an important factor to our well-being, because it's reinforced all throughout the Bible. And also, it has in Romans 15:7, accept one another. And it's kind of just validating what Carl Rogers was saying, how when we can be true to ourselves, be who we were created to be, our unique being, and when we have acceptance of that, how we can thrive. And Scripture talks about this all through it. So it was nice to see how Scripture related to these two counseling theorists. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much.